Are you more of a math-minded crafter? Then this video is for you. Today I'm going to show you how to make this card. I made a cheat sheet to make life easier in case you're not so math-minded, or like me, it's easier to have everything written down. We're going to use some old products, some new products, and I'm going to give you lots of tips and tricks along the way. Let's get started. The basic parts for this card today are the In Symmetry stamp set, along with the Peaceful Moments stamp set. I've already mounted the In Symmetry stamp that we're going to use, and then over here I have the with Deepest Sympathy that we're going to use for the greeting. And then we're going to use some mini Stampin' Dimensionals, some beautiful gray granite, satin ribbon. Yes, gray granite satin ribbon. The postage punch stamp, or postage stamp punch, and the metallic beads in silver. This is from the Dog Builder punch, which is retired, but you could use any dies or heart punches that you have around. I just wanted a little pop of color for this. And then we're going to use an 11 by 4 1/4 piece of basic white. I'm going to use a little bit of scrap to punch again. I have a 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 piece of basic white for most of my stamping, and then a layer of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 gray granite just to mat and pop up all my beautiful stamping. All right, so let's move this aside and get started. All right, let's first discuss the math part of this card. You'll see here that I have not only 3 different colors of ink, I have basic gray, smoky slate, and gray granite, but I also stamped them in first, second, and third generation, varying them. I made this little grid for myself because I tried it a couple times. I knew where I was going with this, but I kept mixing up and ending up with like 2 gray granites next to each other, or 2 basic grays, or the generations weren't working out. So it just was so much easier to make myself a grid. And I'm actually going to post a picture of this on the blog post associated with this video. You can find a link to the blog post below this video if you are watching on YouTube, or you'll just find it in the blog post if you found the video from my website. I knew I wanted 1, 2, and 3rd generation stamping in 3 different colors. So then I just made this grid and followed along. Color A is going to be basic gray. Color B is going to be, actually it's going to be gray granite. And color C is going to be smoky slate. So we're going to start stamping on that 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 piece of basic white. I'm just going to line it up on an edge here with the grid just to make sure that it's straight, and I'm going to put it up against a line towards the top as well. Just a little easier when you're doing lots of stamping. So I'm going to move this. We seem to have a little background there. Okay, so I have my cheat sheet just off camera, and I'm going to start with basic gray. So I'm going to ink it up, color 1, generation 1. And I'm going to put that up in the corner. The other thing you want to have handy when you're doing a card like this is your stamp cleaner. I'm using the Simply Chamois from Stampin' Up! Because I just found it easier to construct my grid row by row instead of trying to figure out where basic gray generation 2 and 3 went. That was, for me, it was much easier. So according to my grid, the second color, second generation, is what goes to the left, or excuse me, to the right of this. So gray granite, second generation, goes right there. Then I'm going to clean that off because smoky slate, 3rd generation, goes next to that. So smoky slate, 1, 2, 3rd generation goes right there. All right, now let's do the next row, which is gray granite 3rd generation to start the row off. So we'll ink this up, 1, 2, 3. Then smoky slate 1st generation, super easy. Go right here and come back. Then basic gray 2nd generation. Basic gray, 1, 2. All right, and then last row, we start with Smoky Slate, second generation. 1, 2. And then we go to Basic Gray and we have third generation. 1, 2, 3. And then we have Gray Granite, first generation. Oops, first generation. Ha, that's why we do a clear stamp. I'm going to line this up. There we go. All right, let's get our greeting done. So now we have our cool flowers all laid out, 3 different colors of ink, 3 different generations. So now I'm going to take my gray granite and I'm going to make my greeting. I'm going to take my scrap piece of cardstock, which is just some basic white, and I'm going to ink up my With Deepest Sympathy. And I'm going to do that right. Actually, I'm going to line up because this is the straight part of the stamp where the width is. So I'm going to line that up right here. And if I have to trim my cardstock down a little to make it easier to use with the punch, I will. Then I'm going to open up my postage punch. And yes, it's going to be much easier if I trim off this little piece here. So this part that I already used to punch is just going to go away. And then we're going to slide this on. And look straight. You can see the width is towards the center, and I have this nice bar here. So what I can do is make sure this is between the I and the T of width, and make sure this looks straight. Can eyeball it that way. Can move it a little bit up. All right. And there we go. Now I have this nice space over here that I can add a heart to that. I'm gonna grab my Take Your Pick tool. I'm just going to take one of the hearts I made with the old dog builder punch. You could certainly use any of your heart dies, but I just found it easier to grab a punch since I was already punching for this card. And then we're going to use my oh so favorite metallic pearls because they go with everything. We're going to use a silver one this time with all the grays in this card. And then we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to not only attach our ribbon, but also pop up our greeting. So let's move these over a little bit to give me a little space. So I have my layer here. I have my layer here. I have my gray granite that I'm going to mat this onto. I have my card base all ready to go. So this is how it's coming together. And then we're going to finish it off with some really pretty gray granite satin ribbon. And I just need a short length of that. I'm going to trim it off. Keep my scissors out because I'm going to trim the ends. So I'm going to take this greeting and I'm going to make just a single loop like this, and it's going to attach right back here. And since I'm using dimensionals, it's super easy to just use the dimensionals to also attach the ribbon. So I'm going to still use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to take some of these smaller dimensionals and put them right across where the ribbon's going to end up. So I'm going to do 3 right down the center, and then we'll get the rest. All right, so now I just need to take the backings off. I'm going to smush them down really well because that way when I pull the backing off, it doesn't pull the dimensional up. I could use my Take Your Pick tool, just the little pointer to pull these off, but with all of these on such a small space, I think it's going to be easier to just use my fingers to pull them off. And get the last 2 here, and then we are all set. All right. There we go. All right, if you have watched the video this long, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing to my channel and be sure to click that notification bell so you know when I post my new videos. All right, there's our greeting. This is hanging over a little bit, but I'm going to leave it until I attach all the layers. That way, I'm able to trim it exactly where I want it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on this layer and center it. And because the first layer is 3.5 by 4 3/4, and the second layer, which is a little larger than usual, is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, we get a really nice border of gray granite there. And now we're going to put some glue on this and attach it to our card base. While you're clicking around on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind giving this video a like, I would really appreciate it. The algorithm on YouTube will show this to a lot more people that way, and we can have more people join our fun, crafty community. All right, so you can see I have just a little bit of the card base showing, and now I am finished making my math card. I did change it up a little bit. This time I stamped the flowers a little bit farther apart, but I think both cards look absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell so you know when I post my next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.